Thank you everyone for taking the time. Thank you for attending this spotlight. Um, I hope that you prepare some questions, as Philip was mentioning. He has some really good ones under the sleeve. That's great. I hope everyone did the same. So today we have with us Katelynn Heasley as the spotlight speaker. It's a pleasure to have you, Katelynn. It's really nice to see you again. Long time, right?
Yes, it's been a long time. I think 2.5 years, right?
Yeah, something like that. So it's great. It's great to have you back. It's great. Thank you very much for taking the time to share with the guys here, with everyone here, your experience and some advices that you can give everyone. So as you heard, Katelynn finished the course around 2.5 years ago. She was a really good student, always really dedicated. So I never had any doubt that she will be an amazing software developer. So let's start, Katelynn, please, with your story. What happened? Let's start during the course. What you did during the course, apart of course of being in classes, that you think that helped you a lot or help you preparing or get prepared for getting a job.
Sure. So during the course, I think I took all the time that I had to really go over the notes. I took copious notes while I was in the course, detailed notes about how to set up every framework, how to do this, what I need to do in terms of getting a certification and all that. And then I would review the notes and go back and enhance the code that we had worked on. So all the front end portion, the HTML, the CSS, I would really take time to flesh that out and make that look like a professional app for my resume. I didn't want to present something that I wasn't proud of, and I really felt that I wanted to put my best foot forward and present something that I could list on a resume and feel comfortable with that.
Yeah. Now that you remember, it was shocking to me. I think you were the first student that I saw taking notes on a pen and paper, always, all the time during your class. So that was the first time. We had other students after, but I think if I remember correctly, you were the first at doing that, and I even shared that with with the other teachers, like, hey. This lady's taking note. That's pretty cool. It will help a lot. And I also remember you saying, no, let me work a little bit. Let me improve the presentation because it's not like a delivery or client ready. And I was saying like, yeah, it's ready. Let's deliver. And you said, no, give me one more day. I want to improve the presentation. So that I remember those pieces now. That's great.
Yeah, I really cared about it. So, and that's the way I learn with the note taking. I think just reiterating it over and over again. And when I write it down, I know how I learn. So yeah, notes help me a lot.
Yeah, and I think you touch a really important piece there. You know how you learn. So everyone has a different learning style, and I think most of you guys know what works best for you, and you should apply that. You should follow your learning, not maybe the notes doesn't work for you. Maybe it works. Just get or do whatever you think will help you the most to learn and remember. But I think practice, it's a key. Katelynn, do you agree with that?
Oh, I definitely agree with that. Yeah. I created apps on my own as well, and I would use the notes and go over and practice it over and over again, and that definitely helped to solidify the information. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. So you took notes, you practice, you dedicate extra time um to recap or review what we covered during classes. What happens after the course ended?
So after the course ended, I took some time to really prep for tech interviews. I knew I wasn't ready for the technical interview. And so I wanted to make sure that I just took a couple months and really worked on just interview problems and algorithms and all of that. And so I signed up for, a tech interview prep program, and daily I would kind of carve out about 4 to 5 hours of my day. I'd go through interview questions and tech questions. And then I would do that for about like 3 hours. And then I would go back, review what the mistakes I had made, maybe look at, thinking about time complexity and the big O notation and everything like that. Maybe I could have done it a different way. And then the last couple of hours, I would review things that I already knew about programming, about frameworks, whether it was just, basic Python language things I wanted to remember in the interview, or some kind of nuances about, certain frameworks I wanted to remember. I would review that. So I spent about 9 months interview prepping before I even submitted resumes. And the other thing that I did is I coded my own website. So while I was in the course, I bought my domain for KatelynnHeasley.com. Didn't have time to do anything with it while I was in the course, but when I got out, it's still up there. It's a single page, hosted on GitHub. And I just fleshed it all out. I said, well, if I'm going to be a programmer, I need to have a website that I've coded myself. So that was the other portion of that, and coded my own website and listed that on my resume. Yeah. And then 9 months later, I finally felt comfortable to take interviews.
Yeah, so you waited until you felt comfortable. I'm wondering if all this practice that you did and this preparation, do you really needed that when you got to the interview? And I'm asking this because the last few speakers, I think between the last 5 speakers, 3 of them got a job like less than a month after completing the program. So I'm pretty sure you were ready after completing it, but you didn't fail that. So what was your experience? Yeah.
Yeah. It's possible that I took too much time. I think I would agree. I would have to agree with that, because when I started applying, I got a job in 4 weeks. So I got a job at the end of the month. And that shocked me, because I've heard these horror stories of getting jobs in tech. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that I prepped a little bit, maybe more than you should. So yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay, no problem. It's never enough preparation. What was your interview experience like? Did you went through coding interviews?
Yes. I went through coding interviews in front of companies and in front of like their software engineers. And I also went through they sent you a link and you needed to go through the coding technical questions.
Mm-hmm.
And if you passed that and they liked what you produced, then you would meet with them in person. So the interviews went both ways, but it always started off with coding.
Okay, yeah, that's expected. I will say half of the time. Lately, what we have been seeing on the industry is, especially for entry-level developers, the industry it's going away from these super hard coding problems, because come on, they are hiring entry-level developers. That doesn't mean that you will never see an interview or a coding interview, but I think they become less and less common every month or so. But it's and how you felt during that interview? Like, do you felt that it was too much, that you were not prepared for that?
No, I felt I was fully prepared. I felt good about the interviews, and I felt really proud about the code that I had produced during the interviews. So no. I did prep for 9 months, so. Yeah.
Okay. And what's your current job or title?
I'm a software engineer and I'm a full stack. I work on the front end and the back end of our website. And yeah, I mean, I've been doing that for 2 years now. And yeah.
That's great. That's great. Uh, so you went full stack. I remember that you enjoyed a lot the front end, right?
I like the front end. Yes, I really do. But I started off in the back end when I first got the position, and I think I'm more in love with back end now. I've worked a
Oh,
lot, I know. I've worked a lot with databases, with a lot. I mean, our back end is Flask and we code in Python. And I really fell in love with that. I think I didn't touch our front end, which is it's React and Redux. About a year for about a year. And once I got back to it, I just realized, I don't know, the back end just has that draw, you know? I
no,
I still like the CSS though, making a website look pretty.
yeah. That's interesting. That's pretty fun, at least for me too, that I really like the front end too.
Yeah.
So, some questions?
No, I just wanted to say that I think that my students from cohort 45, they are not agree with you guys. I don't think that they love CSS. Not yet. They will, but not yet.
Some of us do.
I
It's up for
raised
debate.
my hand at the beginning of the conversation because hi, Katelynn. I'm Professor Fernanda, and I joined to the program after you graduate. So I don't have the pleasure to meet you. So I would like to ask about you, about what was your background, and then why you decided to join to this program. So yeah.
Yeah, sure. So my background, I was a professional musician for a number of years. Yeah, and then I went in the military and in the Marine Corps, and I just decided after that I wanted a creative job that paid well. So I started looking at software engineering, and I went to school. I did 2 years of college for computer science, and then I found this program, and I really wanted to kind of have that be a quick catalyst into the tech sector. So that's why I went into this program.
Awesome. So it's an interesting fact. I mentioned that the other day in my class that what I like about this program is that you guys comes from different backgrounds and you have like this change on your path career. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Adam?
Yeah, thank you. Hey, Katelynn. Appreciate you taking the time, by the way. I'm curious more like you'd spoken to your interview prep. So more specifically, the program that you had mentioned, was that something like outside of LeetCode, or was that like an actual program that you had attended that helped you get ready for those tech interviews, or?
Yeah, sure. So it wasn't working specifically with LeetCode, but it is kind of a program that looks like LeetCode. I'll put it in the chat. It's called Algo Expert. And
Oh,
really
okay.
it's just a bunch of like easy, medium, hard questions that you can go through. They give you feedback on your solution and what you could do better and all of that. So
I appreciate it. That's Clement's site, right? I think. So specifically with that, when you were going through that process and like just going through all these coding problems, was there any general approach you took? Like if you hit a certain coding problem that you were working on, did you try to like get as efficient from like a time complexity perspective before you moved on to the next one, or did you just kind of try and cover as many as you could, or like what was your approach? Because there's so many potential questions.
Yeah. So I would say my approach was to first look at the problem. I would give myself like a time crunch. I would give myself maybe like 2 or 3 minutes to find my best solution in terms of time complexity, everything like that. And then I would start coding. And I would give myself only about 10 minutes to code. And at that point, the timer would go off. And I would either just note to myself, I haven't finished the solution, or I have, and then I would finish the solution. And the idea behind that is kind of like if you're exercising, like if you want to get faster at something, you have to do it to completion, and then you can shorten your time interval as you go along, you get faster and faster at it. So I knew I was over time, and I would just shorten it. And I wanted to then get these solutions faster and faster and faster. So that was my technique. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Of course.
A comment here, it's the of course we as a university, or the university has evolved in those regards. Now we do a little bit of more coding and data structure preparation for the students, and we have also a career services coordinator that can everyone can use to kind of practice coding interviews, or at least the how to present yourself on coding interviews and things like that.
Oh, that's wonderful. I bet that makes that's really helpful.
Yeah, it is, especially on the algorithms part. I think the students learn a lot that will also help during the interview process if required. And the tutor and the career services coordinator are there for everyone at any point. If they feel the need, they can schedule a one-to-one and get to practice.
Oh, that's really nice. Good enhancement. I approve.
Thank you. Questions from anyone? Philip?
Yeah, hi, Katelynn. So I just have a question about the program as far as like the curriculum, more specifically, like what was the most difficult part of the program, and like how did you, or like what did you do to navigate around that? Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good question. The most difficult part about the program was learning, I would say, the different frameworks and switching your brain between I'm coding, making a Django app, and then I'm doing a Flask app. And now we're doing a React app, which is completely different. And I think that was the most difficult thing about learning about the intricacies of how all those things work. Basic programming, not so much HTML, CSS, but it was just, tipping your toe into all these different things and then having to switch off. And that's where I found that my notes really helped, because I could not remember just the various nuances that I wanted to remember about each framework.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely that's hard. That's never easy, right? Especially if you finish one class and it's React, and the next class we switch to the backend, Python, Flask, an entirely different perspective, entirely different technology, programming language. But we have that a little bit in purpose. It's not to make the students suffer, at least not officially. But do you think that, or how's your day-to-day? I'm pretty sure that something similar happens, right? You are switching between front end and back end all day long.
Yes. Yeah, and I actually was going to say, I think that it is really good preparation for the day in the life of a software engineer who's a full stack, because that's what you're doing. You get a ticket in the front end, you work there, then you transfer to the back end, then you're doing some database, then, and then you're all over the place. And you're looking up documentation as you go on various things all the time. And yeah, it's really good prep for how I think a day in the life actually looks as a software engineer.
Hello again. So with regards to this capstone project, because I'm excited to hear like what that was like, would you mind sharing what your project was, or how long you were given to do it, and maybe I'm just curious about what that latter part of the bootcamp looks like. It's okay if you don't want to share.
You are muted, Katelynn.
You're muted, Kate.
Well, no, it's not that I don't want to share. Gosh, I don't know if I
You have to
remember how
remember.
long it was.
Oh, okay, fair.
I remember the capstone project, like starting out, you get an option of what you want to use in terms of creating it. I don't know if that's still the same. Gosh, I think was it a month maybe that we got to work on the
I think it's a little bit longer. So right now, the rules are when you get to me on 118, you pick your project, you pick the programming languages and the technologies that you want to use. And either that, or I can assign a project to you, but ideally each one picks their own project. And you have 3 entire units of 6 classes each, so 18 classes in total to complete the final project or the capstone project. And I'm there to help, to if anyone gets blocked or doesn't know how to do something, I'm there to help. But the idea is for everyone to practice and code on without following a teacher.
And also, Sergio, sorry, I want to mention that we're working on teams. So it's supposed that you have other team members that are working on the code, so we can face or tackle the GitHub issues, because they are issues all the time. And it doesn't matter, Katelynn, I don't know if you're using Git, probably you are. And it doesn't matter how many experience you have with Git, it's always, you know, a nightmare. So that's the idea, to work in teams and, you know, like face all those problems.
Yeah, but there's a ton of check-ins. Like I remember you present your idea for the app, and then you go through wireframes and you get feedback, and you get a lot of help along the way. And I found it to be a positive experience, that I had enough leeway to be independent in what I wanted to do. And then there was a lot of help there in terms of whether it just be idea help, coding help, thinking through a solution. Yeah, I remember that being a really good experience, actually. And I was really proud of the app that I had created at the end of it.
Cool. I really appreciate that. Would you mind sharing, if you want, where you ended up getting hired, or did you apply to multiple places, or did you just take? I'm curious what that process looked like.
Yeah, of course. So I applied to, so when I started finally prepping for interviews, I applied to like 10 a day, and I would write out individual cover letters and do all of that. I ended up getting hired at Noodle. Noodle is a tech ed company, and we manage coursework for universities or university partners. So like NYU or University of Michigan, you would log on, you would take coursework, and we code all of that and manage those online platforms that students manage coursework through. So the company is Noodle. And yeah, I mean, it was, yeah, I would say only 10 a day. I didn't want to overload myself and just keep, you know, submitting for jobs. I really wanted to take the time to write really good, you know, resumes for each one.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Philip, and then Corey, please, with the questions.
Okay, yeah. So when you actually got to the interview process, what did that look like? Did you have like a take home, or was there like a process with a technical assessment, like behavioral or anything like that?
For the current job that I'm hired at?
Sure, yeah. Or
Yeah.
maybe just in interviews in general. Like, what have you seen?
Yeah, they're all different. They all started, at least when I was interviewing, they all started with the technical portion. So either they would say, hey, we're looking at hiring you. Here's the link. So you need to complete these coding questions. It's timed. You have like, and before you go into the link, it'll say you have 3 questions to complete and you have this much time. And then you're asked to close out of whether it's Leak Code or whatever platform they're using for that. Other ones, the company that I ended up getting hired at, I was given a Zoom link and I shared my screen, and I was invited to open up an editor, and then the interviewer gave me a problem, or I think it was like 3 problems, and I coded them out. So that wasn't timed at all. And so they're very, very different.
How did that feel, like coding out a problem in front of an interviewer? Do you practice for that beforehand, or was it like something new and kind of something you had to like figure out?
No, I hadn't practiced coding in front of someone at all. I had practiced the timed codings a lot, so I felt prepared for that. But no, I didn't do ones in front of the interviewer. I would think if that's something that really, if presenting in front of people really makes you nervous, I would definitely practice that. Because it does change how you code and how you really think about solutions.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's good.
No problem. Yeah.
The key there is always to think out loud. That's what they are expecting. So just don't be quiet and come up with 10 lines of code. Just keep talking all the time. Whatever comes to your mind, just keep saying it. That's the key for those type of interviews.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's good advice. I did talk out loud. And I remember at one point I was like, no, I don't think this is the best solution. He was like, no, just go code it. I think this is fine. Just go. So yeah.
Yeah, that's the key.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Corey?
Hi, Caitlin. Thanks for coming tonight. So I had a question. So what kind of like further education, since you got hired with Noodle, did you do any more education while you've been with the company? And do you have any like outside projects maybe that you do as well?
Yeah. So I haven't done any further education since I stopped. I had a bachelor's in music prior to switching to software engineering, and then I got 2 years of a computer science, so a second bachelor's. I have not done any more, although it's something that I would like to complete. So I only have 2 years to get another computer science degree. I would like to do that. In terms of side projects, no. The answer to that is no. I think I'm just hitting my 2-year mark with the company, and it's really taken me that amount of time to, you know, put all my effort into this company, make sure I'm putting my best foot forward. I am starting to find that now that is something I would like to do. I would like to get into like side projects, things like that. But yeah, it's only after about 2 years, I feel like I can start doing that now.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But even though you didn't continue on formal education, I'm pretty sure you kept learning, right? Because that's the industry that we are in.
That's the nature of the job. That's all you just, yeah. New platforms coming out, new technology, you know, AI is the big one right now. We're working on integrating that. Yeah, it's just, I'm reading documentation all day, learning all day. It's great.
Yeah, it's part
It's
part
what we
of
do.
the Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Fernanda and then Todd with the questions.
Yes, thank you. So Caitlin, I heard that you say that you felt that you was not ready, right?
Yes.
So and you wait a little bit. So you know
Mm.
that's something that some of the students mention, like, oh, I don't think that I'm ready, or Professor, how easy you think that is that I can get a job or something like that. So how did you overcome that feeling of not being ready?
I think you just have to do it. You just have to dive in, because I didn't even feel like I was ready, but at that point I was like, come on, like I'm getting good results with all the, you know, test interview questions I'm going through. Like I just need to bite the bullet and do it. And I think I would have been just fine if I had done it prior. I think you just got to take the leap and jump off the cliff. Like you just got to do it. And you only get better interviewing when you interview. That's kind of how it is.
Thank you. That's a point that we touch on every spotlight, and that's the imposter syndrome, where we always feel that we may not be ready, or maybe another month of preparation, maybe 100 more exercises. That will never leave you guys. We will never get rid of that. Doesn't matter how many years of experience you have. Every time that you go through the interview process or the application process, you have that fear, that small devil talking there. The key is to recognize that it's there and to try to ignore it as much as possible and just go for it. As Katelynn said, you need to do it.
Yes. Just
Thank Todd?
Caitlin, wanted to go back a little bit in regards to switching frameworks. I imagine if you're working only front end, you could get rusty on the back end and vice versa. But you being in front stack, you said you took a lot of notes, and was because you're doing both, is there a point in this 2 years where that solidified and you don't have to like look at your notes? I assume you're always growing, but where that information is more second nature than having to reference it all the time?
I would say sure. Yeah, I don't look at the notes I took in the program now. When I first started out, I did. And I think, yeah, certain things definitely get solidified when you are switching frameworks, going to front end, back end, just even simple things like terminal commands and stuff like that. That just comes with the nature of the job and doing it every day. So no, I don't reference the notes I took, but I am referencing documentation every single day. I am looking everything up, and in terms of just how things work. You always are learning. But no, there's certain things that will get easier. Yes, and you don't have to reference.
Yeah, especially because here we touch upon a few different technologies, a few different frameworks, with the intention of you learning what's out there. Pick the ones that you like the most, specialize on that, or once you get to a job, you will use only two in the most likely there, one for the back end, one for the front end. So after a month or two of doing it, then you remember the commands and all of that. So the problem is it's at the beginning here. Sometimes it seems a little bit overwhelming, but it's just practice. With practice, it seems easier every class. And I noticed that, and I'm pretty sure you all will do it when I get the students in 108. We are started with the back end and leaving the front end, or working with both at the same time. And they struggle a little bit. It's part of the learning process. But when I get the same cohort, the same students in 118 for the capstone project, it's just a transformation. It's a nice evolution where I don't need to tell them what to do anymore to start a front end, to create a project, or to run a back end. You know, because you practice from 108 to 118 doing it. So it's practice. Practice is the key. Questions, anyone?
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
If you can describe, Katelynn, how's like a regular day in your job?
Fernanda, your audio it's super low.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me there?
A little bit.
Not yet.
If we can.
Is it there? Yeah.
There. Nice.
Thank you. I was asking if you can describe like a regular day in your job, but not exactly your task, but the people who you interact with, what kind of communication you have, kind of discussions, how you try to explain, we cannot work on this because of this and this, that kind of activities in your job. Could you like to describe that?
Sure. So we do Scrum and we adhere to Scrum. So our Scrum meeting for myself on the West Coast starts at 8 a.m. And I rarely, because I'm a developer, have more than that 30-minute meeting a day. Yeah. So I will get up, code for an hour at like 7 a.m. And then we'll be in this Scrum meeting, and you just go over your tickets really quick that you're assigned. If you have blockers or issues, then you'll kind of just pin them in the Zoom chat. And then after we've kind of gone around and said of all of our updates for the day, then we go back to those pins. And that at that point, then we can say, okay, well, I'm having issues with this. And, this is why, or something is, maybe the requirements in the ticket are not defined, or we're running into this issue with this API. And then we will from there either decide if we need to flesh this out to a second meeting, or if that's something that can be resolved within our 30-minute discussion. Oftentimes, since all the developers are sitting there and the Scrum Master and the project owner, we can kind of come to the solution within like maybe 5 to 6 minutes. And we rarely need meetings after that. And then that's it for our official meeting. And then during the day, we're all on our chat. We use Slack for that. And if there's issues that we're coding, we're expected to complete certain things a day, then we have like a developer chat, and it's only the developers and the senior engineer is the head of that chat, and we'll put issues in there. And oftentimes we just get into like impromptu huddles, we call them, and we'll just we'll get online in that chat, and one of us will share our screens, and we'll just all try to figure out we're having some kind of issue with something, and we'll just attack it like that. So, but there's days where we don't have issues, and I don't see anyone except for that.
Thank you, Katelynn.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Samantha, thank you.
Yeah, Kate, what are the tools that you're using? You were mentioning a Slack for communication, but what about the project management, Jira or Azure?
Yeah, we're using Jira. Yep. Jira, we use Slack. For for communication, that's it. We definitely do everything on GitHub. We use like Confluence for documentation. We use Docker for our, housing our application and stuff like that. We'll use, that's pretty much just all for our communication though. Yeah.
And the
Zoom.
text editor, what is the text editor that are you using? Visual Studio Code, PyCharm?
Yeah, everyone uses something different. I use VS Code. My senior engineer uses PyCharm, just kind of whatever you're comfortable with. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Got you. Thank you, Kate.
Mm-hmm.
Following a little bit on Fernanda's question, and one of the most common fear that the students shared with me at the last units, it's that if they fear that if they pass the interview, then what, right? Fear to the interview is the first thing, and then fear of passing the interview, getting the job, and not knowing what to do. I know that it's almost 2 years, but you remember what were your first tasks in the company?
Yes, so it was all back end. And at that time I was on a different team. It was data transformation, so a lot of integration with APIs in Python. And a lot of my first projects were removing code or transitioning legacy code to something else, so that I think they set this up perfectly for a new developer. So this is so that you can get oriented to their repositories and their repos. So you're not adding anything, you're kind of looking at the overlay of the repos, removing things that are unneeded, and spending time just familiarizing yourself with how everything is put together. I don't know if every team works that way, but they did that for me, and I found that really helpful. And then the things that were the tickets after that were just small snippets of code, just like, take this data set and maybe add a filter and just, change this string from this string and concat it with this. And it was just very simple things. And over time, I got bigger and bigger projects and more responsibility. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I explained the students, but I always liked for them to hear that from someone else other than me, right? Usually you get super simple task. It's just fix a typo, change the color, move the button 5 pixels to the right, something simple. And do you at any point you felt like you were judged by the other developers with more experience there, or the contrary, like they're always willing to help and to mentor new developers?
No, they're always willing to help. I found it a really healthy environment. Any question I had, they answered. They would get online with me. It was really welcoming. It was really nice, and I didn't feel afraid to like ask a question for something that I didn't know, or I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to know. If that makes sense. No, it was wonderful. Everyone's great.
Totally. That's part of also the industry. I think that's part of the community. At least I never been on a team that doesn't follow that courtesy, that where everyone is willing to help at any point. You just send a message on any communication tool that you use, and someone will help, someone will jump in, someone will explain it to you. And if you don't know something, you have time to get to know it, and you have time to fix it. It's not like you need to fix it right now and you have an hour. It's not a coding interview anymore. You have enough time, and you are not just on the first week or on the first month. It's usually the first 6 months they give you up to 8 and 11 months for the new developers to get used and start being productive on the team.
Yes, and you really do have the time. Like you said, it's not like 1 hour push out this code. You have to remember that you're contributing to their code base too, and they care about their code. They want you to put your best foot forward, and they want you to produce the best code. So they're going to give you that time to work on it and really make it, the best it possibly can be. And everyone is really helpful with their feedback and everything like that. So yeah, you have time. Yeah. No rushing.
We have some question in the chat. It says, hi, Katelynn.
Just go for coding. What is your motivation? Yeah, I think, so yeah, am I planning to go back to school? I think, yes, I will finish my second degree. I don't think that I necessarily need to do that. I could roll it maybe and do like a master's in computer science and do the prerequisites, but it's something I want to finish for myself. I don't think that that's needed at all, but yeah, something I'd like to do.
Thank you. If you do a quick retrospective here and how you felt with this career that you choose. At some point you said, I'm a musician, but I want to try computer science or coding. So looking back, how you feel right now?
Oh, I love it. I'm so happy I made the switch. I am so glad. Like I love software engineering. It's challenging every day. You get to be creative. You get time on your own to come up with solutions, and you get to just like make your own thing, but within a left and right lateral limit. And it was almost kind of the same thing as being a musician, but you know, you get the job security, you get financial benefits, everything like that. And I really feel like the work-life balance is amazing. And I work from home. I work 100% remote. My office is in New York, and I think I'm the only one in the US. Everyone else is in like Mexico, Uruguay, Chile, South Africa. And so like, you know, we're here at home, and I just, yeah, I'm not happier, or I could not be happier that I switched careers. It's wonderful.
Great to hear. Thank you. Adam?
Yeah.
Okay, one last question. Thank you. So in this time that you've been working at this job of yours, have you had to pick up, and if you said this, I apologize already, but did you have to pick up any new languages or frameworks? And like, if you did, was there some kind of an approach that you felt like worked really well to just quickly kind of get up to speed with a new framework, whether it's just like diving into documentation and then doing some coding challenges, or like, I'm just curious what that looked like.
Yeah, so I have picked up new languages. One of our apps is like a micro app. It's in Go. And then I've worked a lot with kind of infrastructure languaging, like Terraform and that kind of thing. And yeah, the quickest thing to get up to speed is to take their like introduction tutorials on the websites, and kind of walk through your own setup. And then dive into the documentation. Yeah, you just got to do it. That's the best way to learn. I tend to stay away from other websites. If I'm really troubleshooting and having issues, I'll go to like Stack Overflow and stuff like that. But I try to find the source of truth and go to the documentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's great. I hope that I could be that applied. I usually jump in to try to find the question somewhere else really quick without needing to go through the entire documentation. Then if I defeat it, then I go to the documentation. But I know that I'm doing it wrong. I think the right way is to do it is start with the documentation, with the official documentation.
Well, I'm a dork. I really do like documentation, you know? It could be
that's great. That's great. Fernanda?
Yes, I don't know if someone asked about this, but would you like to share something about the summary? What we should add, or even better, what we should avoid to add to a summary in your experience?
Your resume?
Yeah, sorry, resume. I said summary. Thank you, resume.
What would I add to my resume?
Yeah, or what you recommend to
Like
avoid.
the recommendation for the student, because that's a common question to how they prepare their resume.
Oh, okay. I see. For your resume, I mean, I think so. When they suggested getting the Scrum Master certificate, not Scrum Master, I think it's like Scrum, the lowest level of the Scrum certification, I would suggest doing that. I think it's like the developer level. I don't remember. I would do that. Add that to your resume, and then something like a project that's outside of the course. So your own one, like I coded my own website, or I did another little project on the side. I mean, as many of those as you can do, that would be good. Yeah, and any collaboration that you have in terms of contributing to other people's repository also helps.
Definitely.
Thank you. Awesome, Kelly.
But what do you do in your job? Or what is yes, so what do I do in my job? So a software engineer, so I do front end and back end, and I get tickets every day, and we optimize the website, maybe integrate with some new APIs, things like that. And so that's what, or clean up, or, you know, work on some error or bugs that are in the code. We'll do that on a daily basis, maybe push out a new feature for the website. And the company that I work for, the company is an online educational platform for universities. So our universities have courses that they want to be either in hybrid or fully online. And we partner with those universities to get them on their online platforms faster. So we host their coursework. And students will log into our portals, take the coursework. We have academic advisors, and we'll go back to the university, say like School of Nursing from San Diego University, and we'll work with the faculty members at San Diego as well as with our advisors. So, but for the engineers, we make sure that platform is maintained, the coursework is great, we can get the data that we need to regarding the students to the student advisors, and vice versa.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, very interesting. Last question, Todd?
Yeah, so when you were interviewing, having no experience and having the certification, did you find it really competitive, hard to go up against others that were interviewed that had experience? Did your military experience give you an edge at all? Because it's not really a related field.
Yeah, that's hard. It's hard to say because with these type of interviews, you don't really meet a lot of other candidates. You're kind of just, you know, meeting with your potential employer and those engineers with that company. It's really hard to say what would give you a competitive edge.
I mean, I know there's a lot of demand for full stack developers, but like, did you find yourself, did you notice like you were up against 10 or 20 people, or you just never knew?
Yeah, I mean, you just never knew. I think when you apply for certain positions, especially on LinkedIn, they you know, give you that little push and tell you that 200 other applicants have applied for the position, but you really don't know how many the company has actually contacted and reached out for an interview. So I really, just from prior working, I know that cover letters really kind of go a long way, really kind of tailoring to what that company is looking for. Like if the job specification says that we work with React, we do this, we code in this language, we're primarily Go, or you would tailor your resume to that and make the highlights about how you've worked with that, or something in that realm, and maybe put a project that you've worked on using those at the top of your resume list.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
If I may extend there are also openings and recruiters specifically for VAs. So that can be a small advantage. And security clearance, I think it's a huge advantage. If anyone has security clearance, that's a huge advantage.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, there are a lot of big openings that require security clearance, and as you may imagine, there are not as many applicants to those type of jobs.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll think about that for my next.
Yeah, for sure. Sam, we have time for a quick question.
Yeah, it's not a question. I mean, I just want to thank Kate for coming back and share with our students your experience. We were reflecting the last week. We were talking in our quarterly meeting, and we were talking about that we are here for helping, the community, and in this case, the developers community, right? Trying to increase the developers that we have in the world. Why not, right? We have students from Mexico here. We were having students from United Kingdom, so from USA, obviously. And yeah, I just wanted to thank you because you are showing to our current students and to our SDGKU community that it's possible, to switch career and to become a successful developer after this course, as you were mentioned, where we gave you the basis, and it's everything. It's on you. I mean, it's not like ADGKU that was doing everything that you did. So it was everything. It's on you, and I want just to thank you and for coming back and share with our students and with us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. It's so nice to see you guys again. And I really do feel that everything that the course gave me, it really, like, I was prepared to go into the interviews, and I really felt that I was armed with all the tools I needed. Yeah. So
the same. Thank you very much for taking the time. It's really nice to see you again. And
Yeah.
this is your home, you know. Don't be a stranger. And before we go, I wanna give the opportunity to Dr. Miguel. Dr. Miguel Cardenas.
I was just trying to learn. I am the CEO, the president of the university, and I'm so proud to hear our very distinguished graduate, Katelynn, talk about her experience. As Samantha said, it's your effort. We're simply facilitators. But I do want to say that for all of the participating active students that in this program, that it is a journey worthwhile pursuing. We have, as a school, been leading this sector, this educational sector, for at least 6 years. And I can tell you very proudly that we were the first school, university, that really went through all of the accreditation and all of the regulatory steps that were needed to get the program approved, over and beyond what most of what the boot camps and the small schools have done. And so we really are very proud of the initial effort we made in putting together the program. But the program would be nothing without the instructors and the students and our graduates. So, and particularly our graduates. So let me say that thank you very much on behalf of everyone. And I can assure you great success to each and every one of you that are our students now, and be sure I'm always there at the office in downtown San Diego, and online. You can always chat with me if you need to do so. But the school is there for you from the very beginning. That's our job. We're not a large school. We're not a public school. We're a private school. This morning, I just want to tell you, we had a scheduled visit of the VA agency of the state of California. We did very well. The visitor who knows us, most of the regulatory agencies know us very well. They actually congratulated us, for the effort we're putting together in the hybrid modality, and offering the hybrid modality in this program, allowing the VA students to have their full housing allowance. And I came out after a 3-hour visit, very proud, not of what we do on the staff side, but more than anything of the students that we have, and of course our faculty. So I can share that we will continue to be here for a long time. And yes, please come back, Katelynn. We would like to see you here in San Diego one of these days, physically. And good luck to all of you. Thank you, Sergio and Samantha and team.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much, Katelynn. Nice to see you. Thank you, everyone. Let's get back to classes.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
San Diego Global Knowledge University, Education Beyond Boundaries. Please join us for more informative videos on our social media sites and YouTube.